Hi, welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Mariandrea and it's Friday and I'm starting a new kind of video series on my channel called Feel Good Fridays. I was I've been mulling over. I've been nibbling on a bit of literature that I read a couple of weeks ago that I have not been able to stop thinking about. And then I have this in the back of my brain for weeks. And then today I was still thinking about it. And I thought, why don't I do a string of feel good quotes or literary bits that I have found great comfort in and string them along and share with you a little bit of feel good warm fuzzies. My story today is going to start out a bit personal and not so feel good, but I hope that we're able to connect the feel good bits together by the time we get to the end of this video. So, my dog passed away 2 months ago, and I I've been grieving, and I was at an event and accidentally, like without really thinking about it, just very naturally referred to my dog as my fur baby. I said something like my fur baby, or I said like, oh, my baby, and the person, someone that I was with at the time at this event said dogs aren't babies, they're dogs, and there's a problem with people calling their pets their babies, according to this person. And I just listened and just clutched my grief tight. And in my heart of heart, felt like I don't have children. She was my baby. And I loved her so much. And I just wanted to clutch that love for my baby close and say she was mine. And I loved her so much. And I just held that tightly. And I was thinking, I'm not going to let anger rise. I'm going to just hold on to the love that I've only got left to hold. I don't have her anymore to hold and to hug and to play with, but I have the love that I felt for her that was so real, and I can hold that. I can hold that tight in here. And so I just held that close and held that tightly. And then I've had some opportunities to talk about it. I had a counseling session a couple of weeks ago in which I was able to process that a little bit more. And in the days following that incident, that event, I picked up this book. So if you've been following my channel for the last several months, you would have known that in March, before my dog passed, I think I shared my TBR, or pile of possibilities, and I said for middle grade March, this is one of the books that I intended to read. My dog passed away in the month of March, so I had started I think I had just the first couple of pages of this book, and then when she passed, I just kind of let everything go and I um, stopped trying to read. A couple of like really heavy things had happened before her passing that took me away from my reading plans anyway. So after she left, I just kind of like abandoned a lot of things. Not permanently, but just I just don't have the capacity to do all of the reading and all of the things that I had planned and hoped to accomplish in the month of March and April. And so a few weeks ago in the month of May, I saw that I had left this laying around, and I remembered that this was just, it's not in the bookshelf where it usually is. It was, I think I had left it on the coffee table. And I saw this and I was like, I had picked this up just a week or so before she passed. And I grabbed it again and I started it again. And And this is what I read. And this is just days after I had that incident, that event with that person. And so I'm going to read you the passage that lifted my soul, my spirit, and my heart, and my grief. Chapter 2 from Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. Wilbur. Fern loved Wilbur more than anything. She loved to stroke him, to feed him, to put him to bed. Every morning, as soon as she got up, she warmed his milk, tied his bib on, and held the bottle for him. Every afternoon, when the school bus stopped in front of her house, she jumped out and ran to the kitchen to fix another bottle for him. She fed him at supper time and again just before going to bed. Mrs. Arable gave him a feeding around noontime each day when Fern was away in school. Wilbur loved his milk, and he was never happier than when Fern was warming up a bottle for him. He would stand and gaze up at her with adoring eyes. For the first few days of his life, Wilbur was allowed to live in a box near the stove in the kitchen. Then, when Mrs. Arable complained, he was moved to a bigger box in the woodshed. At 2 weeks of age, he was moved outdoors. It was apple blossom time, and the days were getting warmer. Mr. Arable fixed a small yard especially for Wilbur under an apple tree, and gave him a large wooden box full of straw with a doorway cut in it so he could walk in and out as he pleased. "Won't he be cold at night?" asked Fern. "No," said her father. "You watch and see what he does." Carrying a bottle of milk, Fern sat down under the apple tree inside the yard. Wilbur ran to her and she held the bottle for him while he sucked. When he had finished the last drop, he grunted and walked sleepily into the box. Fern peered through the door. Wilbur was poking the straw with his snout. In a short time, he had dug a tunnel in the straw. He crawled into the tunnel and disappeared from sight, completely covered with straw. Fern was enchanted. It relieved her mind to know that her baby would sleep covered up and would stay warm. Every morning after breakfast, Wilbur walked out to the road with Fern and waited with her till the bus came. She would wave goodbye to him, and he would stand and watch the bus until it vanished around a turn. While Fern was in school, Wilbur was shut up inside his yard, but as soon as she got home in the afternoon, she would take him out and he would follow her around the place. If she went into the house, Wilbur went too. If she went upstairs, Wilbur would wait at the bottom step until she came down again. If she took her doll for a walk in the doll carriage, Wilbur followed along. Sometimes on these journeys, Wilbur would get tired, and Fern would pick him up and put him in the carriage alongside the doll. He liked this, and if he was very tired, he would close his eyes and go to sleep under the doll's blanket. He looked cute with his eyes when his eyes were closed because his lashes were so long. The doll would close her eyes too, and Fern would wheel the carriage very slowly and smoothly so as not to wake her infants. So, the story about Fern mothering her doll and her baby, whom she refers to as her baby, Wilbur, was just the comfort that I needed to read. So, we find so much comfort in the wonder and joy and the love of children's literature. And this is why, as an adult, I still find myself really enjoying middle grade YA and even children's picture books because the stories are simple. The love just shines through each page, and the love in this story between Fern and Wilbur is is all that is giving me comfort right now. And so I'm slowly rereading Charlotte's Web, um, and finding a lot of comfort and feel good in this story. Next, I will string that along with a magazine. So this magazine is out of circulation. I used to be a subscriber to it when it was in circulation, and it is Womankind. This magazine has taken me out of many a reading slump. I tend to go to magazines when my capacity for reading is limited, when I'm feeling brain fog or tired or really not sure what to read next or what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes just feeling like really sometimes like the burnout or the fatigue of the reading life, which does happen and it's a real thing. I find comfort and I find myself uplifted through magazines. The articles in magazines are shorter and like bite sized, and as I think that when I'm going through a reading slump, as long as I'm reading little bits at a time, eventually I'll find myself again rekindling that love or that excitement or that motivation to read longer pieces. But I find that especially after a really intense reading experience or a reading something really really long, like something I committed to for a while, like a tome, then coming back to the fragments of beauty and art and literary morsels are just what I need. So I'm going to be reading from this Womankind issue from June to August. So this is summer of 2022. And I have some bookmarks in here, but I'm going to read from this section featuring the French artist Claire Basler, has reconnected with her childhood sense of wonder and has created a space for it to flourish. So this is a French artist who paints flowers. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'm going to I'm going to read the sections I highlighted that really spoke to me and gave me some comfort and some joy to reflect on. So the headline here is, "It is bliss to paint flowers." Be childish, playful, remain curious about the world. These are the traits of a great person, believed German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. More than fame, wealth, and other such worldly achievements, Nietzsche commended the person who rediscovered their childish sense of wonder and curiosity. To become the child again is, for Nietzsche, the way to find your bliss. And then it goes into the feature of Claire Basler as a child. And I'm going to just skip on, but you see, like, this is her studio. You see those beautiful flowers and the art. These magazines are so gorgeous to look at. I really enjoy just like sitting with them. Okay, so it says, Nietzsche would no doubt commend Basler on a life well lived. She followed her bliss, and along the way she rekindled the spirit of the child, exploring, appreciating, and beginning anew. Quote, "Color is a world of great richness, of feelings and reflections, sheltered from human rules. It is a space for freedom and happiness. This is undoubtedly one of the reasons that led me to painting flowers. My path has been traced intuitively. I've just recently come to understand this." Has Basler followed and found her bliss? It appears she has. Quote, "In blissful happiness, I live my adult life in continuity with my childhood passions," she concludes. Quote, "I have the freedom to be an adult and a child. Nothing is forbidden." And that's the end of that article. Um, so, yeah, the quote to leave with is: in blissful happiness, I live my adult life in continuity with my childhood passions. I have the freedom to be an adult and a child. Nothing is forbidden. I think that continuity, that inner child, and letting that inner child guide us sometimes, for me, it gives me a lot of comfort. Um, so I'm I'm looking to Fern for validation on what it means to mother and to love and to nurture. I'm thinking about the things of childhood and the things of childhood wonder, and summer is such an evocative time of all the things of childhood. So I thought that was really saying something's been really speaking to me. Again, this is from 2022, and that's when I highlighted and read this, but I still keep coming back to these bits of comfort and validation. And then lastly, the third beat I want to string into this Feel Good Friday thread is from Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. This is from number 4, Places We Go When It's Beyond Us. All wonder, confusion, curiosity, interest, surprise. So I'm going to look at awe and wonder. Brene Brown writes, well, this first is a citation, it's a passage. If I had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over the christening of all children, I should ask her that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder, so indestructible that it would last throughout life, as an unfailing antidote against the boredom and disenchantments of later years, the sterile preoccupation with things that are artificial, the alienation from the sources of our strength. I'm going to read that again. If I had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over the christening of all children, I should ask that her gift to each child in the world be a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life as an unfailing antidote against the boredom and disenchantment of later years, that sterile preoccupation with things that are artificial, the alienation from the sources of our strength. And this is a passage by Rachel Carson from The Sense of Wonder, a celebration of nature for parents and children. Brene Brown then writes, both awe and wonder are often experienced in response to nature, art, music, spiritual experiences, or ideas. In the midst of these moments, we can feel overwhelmed by the vastness of something that is almost incomprehensible. It almost feels like what we're witnessing can't be true, like we're seeing something that doesn't fit with how we move through and understand our everyday lives. Even seeing things we may fail to notice on a regular basis, like a starry sky or a butterfly in the garden, can stop us in our tracks on occasion. Both awe-inspiring events and experiences that leave us filled with wonder often make us feel small compared to our expansive universe, small but connected to each other and to the largeness itself. We often use awe and wonder interchangeably, which makes sense because, as you can see, the experiences share a lot in common. But there is a primary difference between our experiences of these incredible emotions that's worth understanding. I love how researchers Ulrich Weger and Johannes Wageman, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, explained it. They write, wonder inspires the wish to understand, awe inspires the wish to let shine, to acknowledge, and to unite. When feeling awe, we tend to simply stand back and observe, to provide a stage for the phenomenon to shine. Awe and wonder are essential to the human experience. Wonder fuels our passion for exploration and learning, for curiosity and adventure. Researchers have found that awe leads people to cooperate, share resources, and sacrifice for others, and causes them to fully appreciate the value of others and see themselves more accurately, evoking humility. Some researchers even believe that awe-inducing events may be one of the fastest and most powerful methods of personal change and growth. We don't need to stand on a cliff and see the northern lights to feel awe or wonder, although this is absolutely on my bucket list. Me too. Sometimes I feel like my dog Lucy is staring into my soul, and I feel a huge sense of wonder. How did I end up with an actual Ewok living in my house? How did this happen? It's unreal. And as a parent, simple moments with my children have rendered me speechless with awe. I thought this would change as they got older, but even with a 16-year-old and a 22-year-old, the awe still takes my breath away on a regular basis. So, awe and wonder. I find so much just feel good knowing that, these experiences of awe or wonder, of being captivated by the deep connection with others, with nature, with art, just how that fills us with awe and with wonder. And these are all really positive and important, feel good kinds of experiences. So that is all I wanted to share. Um, I'm just I'm just sitting around on this Friday night thinking about feel good moments and things that really feel uplifting. So I hope that wherever you are finding yourself reflecting on moments of wonder and awe in your own space and time, and read some children's literature, read some YA. I am definitely looking forward to more of that in my summer plans. So let me know what you're finding on Winter In, or what, if any, middle grade or YA literature you're reading. And we'll talk again soon. Hasta la próxima.